right, hey everybody. This is the worst slot to have, everybody, right before the end. My name is Jeff Peterson. Thank you, Voice of God, for that. Let's get to it. Echo 360 is a global ed tech company enabling learning transformation for education and business through the ecosystem, the world's first and only LTP, Learning Transformation Platform, that delivers dynamic creation, engagement, and assessment of education and training at scale. We have impressive slides like the one you're looking at now that show you how many millions of learners, how many thousands of customers, how many thousands of trainers and instructors we reach. The innovations in the top right corner indicate the things that we were first at. First to do lecture capture at scale for higher ed. First to do audience response at scale for higher ed. First to do online assessments at scale for K-12. All of these things have led us to become one of the largest ed tech providers in the world, with foot camps here in North America, EMEA, and APAC, with an impressive roster of corporate, higher ed, and government logos that we work with. And right about now, everybody in this room is feeling like those tourists that sign up for the town share tour to get a free dinner down at the mall, right? Or the timeshare tour. And about 5 minutes into the tour, you're like, this wasn't worth it. There's no dinner that's worth this. So you're asking yourself, why am I sitting through a commercial for an ed tech company? And I love this company. That elevator speech, I wrote this elevator speech, okay? The reason that we're here is that Echo 360 has a vision of engaged and equitable learning for everyone, anywhere, and more importantly, we believe that learning changes for the good. Now, how many people in this room, mothers, know what you do for a living? Really know, like really understand. Okay, great. Most of us, for 30 years, my mom has no clue, okay? I got two younger brothers, they're both teachers. One's a band director, very relatable. And for the last 30 years, I've tried to, tell my mom what I do. And Jeffrey, that's very interesting. So if my mom were out there, sitting amidst all of you, I would show her, sorry, can I go back there? I would show her this video, which should be moving. But anyway, it's not moving. I don't know why that's not moving. If we can get it to move, that'd be great. So anyway, this is a video of a Sudanese student named Osama, who goes to school at the University of Bradford over in London. He speaks Arabic, okay? So you can imagine how well an Arabic-speaking Sudanese does in London. Add to the fact that he wants to be a doctor, okay? So he's going to med school, and he's learning how to operate on people. Thankfully, my doctor is up in Minneapolis, and so I'm not, going to a doctor over in London or in the Sudan. But I want to make sure that Osama is learning the way he needs to learn. And so, if I were explaining what I do for a living to my mom, I'd say, well, Mom, we make something called Echo Video. And what it does is it helps learners literally translate video instruction into the language that they can speak so that they can learn better at their pace and in their way. And my mom would get it, okay? Because I've tried to explain this to her. Because we all know in this room that there's a learning value chain that starts with the creation of the training materials in the first place, the creation of the education materials in the first place, and then it goes through a series of tagging and streaming and cataloging and delivery and engagement, and then assessment if it actually worked, and then analytics. And this is about the time where my mom's eyes glaze over, okay? And the reality is that even if I did capture my mom's attention with Osama, the instances of Osama in the world are not as frequent as the instances of the learning that needs to happen with this guy who stocks the groceries at our store. Or this gal who maybe just is working on your hotel room right now from a crazy night last night. Or this guy who represents the workforce now, especially here in the States, that is becoming more and more critical for us to not just hire and not just train. I loved what Tyrone said earlier about, we train animals, we educate humans. And what's sobering is that, and this is just from a survey that I pulled, is that, instead of us upskilling our workers, we're actually dumbing down our expectations. And so we're actually lowering the water table to meet where our workers are entering the workforce and what we're able to actually teach them, to actually educate them. And so we've got lessening standards. At the same time, employers are saying that these personalized learning pathways can actually work, but I just don't have time to do it. Add to that is what we've heard at Echo 360 when we're talking to our customers in either the corporate or the education space, that there's a lot of inconsistent standards around there with all the different tech stacks that all of you probably have, okay? COVID did us no favors, and all the ambulance chasers like us who are selling individual point solutions for technology, and now you've got 20 different things in your companies that do 20 different things. Inconsistent standards, a disparate user experience, integrating the technologies with your LMS or your HRIS or whatever else you have, an infrastructure that might be too brittle and not able to scale globally if you want to scale, and then finally just a challenging with configurability and complexity. So this is why Echo 360, if we believe truly that learning changes for the good, it has to change for all of the good, not just the med students at the University of Bradford, but it has to change for good for the stock boy working at the grocery store or the forklift driver. Because it isn't just, again, it's not just about hiring those people, it's about giving them the skills and the competence to stay in their jobs, to master their jobs. And so we've created the first learning transformation platform. So it's called the ecosystem. Everything's Echo at Echo 360. And what it is it's the 4 most common education and training tools that a lot of you probably are using into one platform. So content creation with Echo Inc., delivery through Echo Video, engagement through Echo Engage, so that's like the polling and the gamification, and then high-stakes assessment with Echo Exam. All in one place, create, engage, and assess at large, and then in the individual solutions. So let me give you, and then the other thing that none of us need is another one-size-fits-all platform that you have to absorb into everything else. And so this is an interoperable platform, but it's modular. Okay? So if you have a business model or if you have a workforce that actually doesn't need to take, polling, and games because you do a lot of in-person training, well then don't buy Echo Engage, But you might be trying to accredit or train highly skilled medical techs, med techs, that need to have specific NCLEX questions to answer so they can know how to tie a suture. So then Echo Exam might be it. So this is an interoperable yet modular platform. I'll give you a couple of examples of some of the work that we've been doing. So we're right here in Chicago, McDonald's right down the road. It was great seeing the McDonald's representative earlier today. So 10 years ago, McDonald's had all of their training materials literally in 3-ring binders sitting in the back of McDonald's restaurants. And this guy, Fred Turner, who ended up being the chairman, kind of a big deal, way back in the 50s, he was their ops guy. And he wrote all of the different SOPs, how big the hamburgers should be, how hot the French fries should be. And for years, every McDonald's store lugged around a bunch of these 3-ring binders. And you can imagine what that did as it relates to workforce readiness and development, okay? Not a lot of people have time to go back into the back room to figure out what button to push to make the French fries. And so 10 years ago, McDonald's started working with us to basically transform all of their learning materials into something that they could create through video, through in the flow of work kind of quizzing, to make sure that their workers had the resources that they needed in the flow of work, okay? And so what that's done, and this is back to the learning, changes for the good, it saved the company a ton of money. It's saved a ton of time in the onboarding hours for those employees, and annually it continues to save a lot of money in printing. So then you're saying, okay, then you're like, hey, wait, we're back to the commercial, okay? We're back to, selling software. But the return on this is the middle thing, the decrease in onboarding hours. Because again, think of those employees, if they're spending over half of their time just learning how to do the job and not doing the job, they're not staying motivated, they're not staying skilled. And so this is about retention as well. A couple other examples as I'm looking at my clock. Time goes by really fast when you're talking about your mom. We've got other great examples at Whole Foods, where we've kind of revolutionized their training across all of their stores and all their employees. And again, this is about the type of employees that are at these stores that deserve the same quality of educational tools as we afford our medical students. And then finally, I think the last example I have here is actually around health with Christus Health. So at the end of the day, there's a lot of reasons to be looking at something like a learning transformation platform and to not be compromising our expectations for what we expect and what we expect of ourselves in training workforce of the future. And I would just say, thank you for the time to be able to tell you a little bit more about Echo 360 and the learning transformation platform that we have. Thanks.